No, it's not cheating. Yes, it is art. No, you aren't a fraud if you make it. Although digital art has been around for decades, it still seems to come with some latent baggage. I still run into people who think it's a cheat code to win at art. I had colleagues who still thought it was totally unmarketable and that no one ever spent money on it. Most of this, I want to assume, comes from a place of ignorance. They just don't understand. And I suppose that's fair. Most people who aren't artists haven't sat down and watched what it looks like to create art on a computer or tablet. If they did, they would see that it comes from the same stock as the great masters of yesteryear. Let me know in the comments what your first experience with digital art was. I'm going to go through 5 reasons why you should give digital art a try in 2023. And for those of you already using it, some reinforcement and encouragement to back your decision. Let's dive in. Potentially the most advantageous component that digital art offers is the speed of work. Need a particular color? No need to mix paints or find the right pen. Need a larger brush? No problem. 2 or 3 clicks and we have it. Digital art offers all of these things in a fraction of the time they would take with traditional media. So much time can be saved with digital work. When I want to make an oil painting, I usually have about 10 minutes of work prior to beginning. I need to open up my mineral spirits, make sure I have the right colors in my palette, pray that I cleaned my palette the last time I used it, select my brushes, prime my canvas if I haven't already. The list goes on. When I want to work on my iPad, I can literally sit down and open it up and just go. In maybe 10 to 15 seconds, I can be working. On my computer, I literally just have to wait as long as it takes Photoshop to boot up. It is hard to trivialize the amount of time saved with digital art. But there is another time-saving component here that has no analog in traditional media. Let's say I want to design a character. I spend 20 minutes hammering out the body so I have it exactly as I want it. Now I want to consider clothing. But wait, I can't settle on what I want to do. I can literally copy and paste that same body several times and try out all of the potentials on each of those duplicates before moving on. If you need to design many of the same kind of thing, there is just no substitute for this. Imagine how much more time this takes with traditional media. You have to literally create the entire image again from scratch. It will probably go more quickly the second time, but more quickly compared to Control-C, Control-V is not much of a comparison. This extends to something as simple as duplicating an arm or an eye, flipping it and moving it to the other side of the image. You will likely edit it slightly so that it fits, but that time is minuscule in comparison to traditional media. On that same train of thought, we can slide straight into the next point. The amount of malleability digital art offers is really remarkable. So not only can you duplicate things and move them around, but you can alter them in a variety of ways at will. I really like how I drew that arm, but I need it a little beefier. Stretch and warp it. This dragon looks fantastic, but I need it a little darker. Adjust the contrast and saturation. The reality is that traditional art cannot hold a candle to the malleability of digital work. Once you have something down on that digital canvas, you have myriad options to manipulate its size, shape, color, value, and even opacity. I remember being stunned by the options I had available to me when I first got my hands on Photoshop back in 2002. It was not nearly the powerhouse that it is today, but it was still a titan. Many other digital programs offer similar features that allow you to move and manipulate so quickly and efficiently, it is honestly mind-boggling. And let us not forget what might be the king of this malleability, the almighty undo. Ah yes, being able to simply hit Ctrl-Z and backstep before that last mark. What a boon this can be. Being able to try something and undo it if it doesn't work out, being able to fix a mistake with a simple keystroke, what a wonderful addition. This malleability is incredible and definitely one of the best reasons to give digital a try. I would be remiss if I were not to include another of the most powerful components of digital art as its own item here. I am of course talking about layers. For those unfamiliar, layers in digital art give you the option of separating out individual components on their respective layer. This means you can manipulate those components separately without interfering with the other elements. In short, you can paint your background and foreground elements as separate things. So if you find you need to move a character or a tree or something, you can just move it. You don't have to repaint the background elements or anything messy like you would with traditional art. For those of you who are quite familiar with digital art, aren't layers just fantastic? Keeping things separate, manipulating individual components, not having the fear of mucking up the stuff around and behind? What a breath of fresh air. Layers give you safety and extra tools in the art creation process. Just last night, I was working on the painting that you're seeing play out before you, and the tail of this guy was just messing with me. I was able to isolate that piece, move it to its own layer, and without too much hassle, manipulate it and move it around until it was exactly where it needed to be. I can't imagine how much more difficult that would have been on a traditional piece. Well, actually I can, because I have had to move eyes, beaks, or wings on some of my bird paintings, and it is a lot of work if you have to do that on an oil painting. Layers are a wonderful tool and a welcome addition to any arsenal. The next set of benefits is really a conglomerate of the practical and physical benefits to digital art. There's a lot here, so hold on. First of all, the amount of space a digital art setup consumes is remarkably smaller than most traditional art setups, barring just a sketchbook. If you live in a dorm, a small room, or an apartment with roommates, finding room for a secure drawing space or an easel can just be impossible. Finding space for a drawing tablet on your computer desk? Likely much easier. Or if you're using an iPad or a standalone tablet, you can just sit on the couch. The amount of space for your setup is much less restrictive. The cost can often be more in the short term, but once you have your setup, you are likely good for a while. Sketchbooks need to be replaced after you complete them. Paints run out. Brushes, no matter how hard we try, eventually die on us. So it might be more cost effective for you personally to work digitally. And if you already have an iPad or some tech that you can use, it might be as little as buying a program and an Apple Pen. Some art media need chemicals like alcohol or mineral spirits for managing your paints, and you can just skip the fumes and storage of those kinds of things. If you lose a painting, it's gone. But if you lose your tablet, chances are you have your artwork backed up in the cloud or on a computer somewhere. Your work can even be safer when it's kept in the digital realm. These are just a few practical reasons to try digital today, especially if space is at a premium. This last point is a little more elusive. Potentially in today's market, digital art proficiency can make you more marketable. Now, what do I mean by that? If you have any aspirations of working on movies and film or in video games, or anything in that realm, digital is going to be essential. We seem to have moved on from the era of John Howe and Alan Lee, who did large portions of the concept art for the Lord of the Rings movies. These masters spent the majority of their time in pencil and paint, working out concepts for orcs, elves, and weapons. That was in the early 2000s, though. And although I'm sure there are some holdouts somewhere, most of that industry has moved over to digital as their primary medium. This makes sense when you consider all the prior points. The speed at which you can iterate with digital is just incredible. If you are looking for some more information in this field, I would recommend you check out Marc Brunet and Trent Kaniuga, both of which I will have links to in the description down below. They are both concept art industry veterans and have a lot to say in this arena. I wouldn't recommend that you run into your studio and light your brushes on fire, but if you haven't already, consider giving digital a try. The options it provides are immense and wonderful, and they may make some welcome additions to your art workflow. I jump back and forth between them frequently, and I sincerely think it does me good. Check out this video on why you should give traditional a try if you want to see the other side of the coin. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.